I'm really glad that we have Al on because we couldn't do our last show unless Al Dean was on.
Our last show would not.
Is it our last show?
Yes.
That's not can't
Well,
be
it wouldn't be our last show if we didn't have Al on the show.
Well, that's what I just said, but
Is he here?
Yeah, so why
Al?
the last show? I'm curious.
Oh.
That's a really good question. And when you say it like that, it sounds all. It makes me all mushy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I feel kind of
a little knot in my chest.
It bums me out too, actually. It's actually, and you know what? Josh and I were just talking about this offline. I don't think it might be the last show.
It probably won't be. We'll probably think of something else to, do, someone else to talk with.
It's entirely possible that we'll have another show tomorrow.
Yeah.
We just don't have one planned. That's all it is.
That's nice.
And that's how we're going to play it.
I think always having things weekly is a bad idea. I mean,
well, Al,
like showers.
Let's get your reaction about this. I just want to. We are kind of at a loss. We just kind of hit this wall where we were like, we kind of done it 60 times, or 59 times.
But think if you'd done one a month, that would have lasted you approximately 5 years. You boys need to do the maths, and you're the smart bastards in the room.
Well, maybe that's what it is.
I think
maybe that's all it is. Maybe today is not our last show. Maybe this is our last weekly show.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe it turns monthly.
Or maybe bi-monthly or biennially. Yeah. That would be good. Just choose a random time.
We could really, maybe
right.
a yearly podcast. Maybe it could be a yearly podcast. It would be just one 5-hour sprint of a podcast and just, get it out of the way.
Right.
I think that's what you need to do. Just one a year, but just like mammoth. That would be nice, man. Yeah.
It's not really a podcast so much as
this
an annual
podcast
archive.
is taking hours to download. What is the deal?
even with my 4G yada yada, it's gonna take that long.
So have you boys bought an iPhone 5? Are you kind of done with
those
right out of the gate?
iPhone 5?
No,
I haven't.
Have you?
No, I'm thinking of going back to an Ericsson T28.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just tired of the whole thing. I think I would miss the camera, but then I've got a camera. So, yeah, obviously I can't
I have
speak.
to admit, I keep leaving the house without my phone thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna totally this is gonna be great. I'm liberated. I don't have the phone with me. And then I go and I'm like, I want to take a picture of that thing on the menu so that I remember it.
Depressed, yes.
Yeah. or I forget. Actually, even my neighborhood, all of the streets or all of the shops on my street have the same reward card system. You get the little barcode and you scan it when you check out and you get points for it. They all use bellywhatever.com, something like that. Have you heard of that?
No.
Well, anyway, it's a way that you can have shared reward card systems for like an entire neighborhood like this. So I have on my phone, I have this app. And when I show up and I buy something, then I just flash this barcode in front of the belly scanner thing, and I get points for it. And they have them at all the shops, so it's pretty cool.
What do you get to buy with your points?
Convenient.
Is it like the SkyMall catalogue?
You get like a free drink after you've bought 57 drinks, something like that. I don't
right
get
at
a
that
whole lot
point
of
where
points
you
here.
can stomach no more coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Anyway, I can't live without my phone, as it turns out. It's really depressing.
Oh,
no.
I kind of like that.
How would we know what you're eating? It would be, I don't know if I could make it through the day.
That's right. If I weren't taking pictures of my food for you?
Yeah. Instagramming them all over the place.
Yeah.
Putting up your map routes, running here and there.
This is you're boring me here. First thing right out of the gate is iPhone 5. For God's sake, this is episode 60. This is the last weekly Engineer vs. Designer podcast.
It started averagely and it's finishing abysmally.
It is. Well, I'll tell you, Al, the reason that we chose to do it weekly from the very beginning was actually, it was intentional choice. We knew that was totally insane. But it was a very intentional choice that we said, well, if we're going to learn to do this and we have no idea what we're doing, then if we do it every week, if we force ourselves to do that, it's going to force us to learn how to be really efficient. We're going to have to really get it down to clockwork. If we do it once a month, then we can kind of procrastinate.
And it didn't work.
And it did.
I don't think procrastination is something that needs to be avoided.
We got it down pretty good.
Well, I don't know. Procrastination, I guess, has its advantages.
Yeah, you just need to think about it. Just take your time. See what I did there.
I like that.
I see what you did there.
See what I did.
Well,
so do you want to talk about anything particular in this final and glorious podcast, or just waffle away for a couple of minutes?
well, we just got back from Maker Faire New York, which was super fun.
Oh, you need to tell me
Super
all about
fun.
that.
Yeah.
There was
Well,
a massive.
first of all, important thing, Josh and Simon, who edits this podcast, Josh, Simon, and I, and also JF, who is the main contributing writer to Solid Smack other than Josh, all of us were there. So we actually all got to meet for the first time, which was pretty
Is
cool.
JF the very tall gentleman with large hair?
Yes.
He is.
very tall.
He's
I don't know
quite
about
funny.
large hair, but...
Quite.
Yeah, you met him at SolidWorks.
Apparently so.
HQ, yes. Yeah, so
He's a good
Maker
guy.
Faire was intense, without a
was.
doubt. Lots of printers.
I couldn't figure out how to describe this really well, and then I went to the hotel for the first time, and the woman behind the desk said, "Are you here for the science fair?" And I was like, you know what? That's really funny that you say that, but actually,
That's what it is.
I was thinking in my head, that's exactly what it is. It's a gigantic science fair.
See, we don't have the whole science fair thing. The only time I've ever seen it is on like Meet the Robinsons, or just insert other random American cultural.
I mean, it's
reference.
really just an excuse to make to make vinegar and baking soda volcanoes and such
with Arduinos.
With Arduinos, right? You make a vinegar and baking soda volcano. Add Arduino, and you have Maker Faire right there.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, and a few 3D printers.
Dude, so many
or
freaking
more.
3D printers. I could not believe how many different ones there are out there right now. I see them all come out on Solid Smack. I'm just like everybody else out there. I read Solid Smack.
Of course, you should.
I hear about this stuff when it comes out. But anyway, I keep up with these things and I see all these things coming out, but you don't really realize just how many of them there are until you see them all in one tent. And then it's just complete sensory
I think
overload.
at least 5 or 10 booths there. They were all like, "Yeah, we made this 3D printer in the past week, and we're starting our Kickstarter project. Go here, help us get it on the market."
Lots and lots of them.
Lots
So
of
was
that.
the tent kind of just like a monotonous drone of stepper motors?
You know
Yeah,
what
some
was
of it
really cool
was.
about it? I actually thought it was really neat because it was fun to walk around to the different areas and see, like, a mother with a maybe 5-year-old kid next to her, and the guy behind the booth is explaining to these people who are completely uninitiated
Yeah.
what a 3D printer is and how it works. And I just thought that was really neat to see.
It's the kind of thing that needs to get out there and show people and let them see it and touch it. Because you kind of explain it in abstract. It's like a printer, it does it in 3D. And most people just go, whatever. And they think you've been watching too much Star Trek on crack. But it's not until you show them and they start to think about it. That's the thing that I find fascinating. There needs to be a travelling roadshow for makers. Oh, yeah.
AKA Maker Faire.
Yeah, that'd be the one.
Which is...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, and it's absolutely brilliant. It was great. People talked about the New York one being a lot smaller than the San Francisco one. Maybe it was, but dang, this was a big. Was a big thing.
Yeah, big companies like Disney and Chevy, Verizon, Crayola were even there.
Does that kind of ruin it for you?
It does, actually. It was mixed. It was like, at first it was like, oh, cool, these big companies are supporting this, but it was like, this kind of tanked the whole, maker feel. The maker atmosphere.
I don't know. Is that GM or is that Crayola? I can't see you having a beef with Crayola.
No, Crayola had, the little booth. They had crayons
That's
and
true.
kids a lot. Actually, they had the most number of kids that I remember seeing at their booth just doing stuff. Of course, it's Crayola. So.
I don't know, man. The whole show was just crawling with kids.
Yeah.
It was like it was really as much. It was a family event, but I thought it was actually like if you had to. I think the percentage of messaging out there of all the messaging out there, I would say 60% of it was aimed at someone under 12 years old.
Yeah, if you had a kid-oriented product,
Definitely aimed at younger kids.
And what was the demographic like in terms of gender split? Because I saw some photos and it seemed like there was a lot of girls there, which I find interesting in terms of their interest.
Oh yeah. Well, it's as much of a craft show as it is gadget type of show, because there's lots of crafty stuff there too. That there are a lot of different craft type booths. So,
I would say it's an impressively diverse crowd. I think that's the way that I would have to say it. I'm sensitive to demographics and such as well when I'm looking around, and I'm just looking around thinking I don't know how I would describe this demographic, because there are people of every shape and size and race and color and gender you can think of here. People, there are crazy steampunk hippies here, and then there are button-down white-collar engineer people walking around. There are mothers with kids and fathers with kids and babies all the way up to old people,
older babies, younger babies,
older babies, younger babies, all kinds of babies. Kind of lost it there, but
juggling babies, hippie babies,
right? Cat jungling babies.
Cat jungling or juggling?
Juggling. Cat juggling, but
seeing cat
maybe.
Juggling this year, unfortunately.
Wow.
I brought my juggling, my homemade juggling stick thing.
That was a treat.
But I didn't bring them out in public like
Adam
I
has
to.
made these homemade juggling sticks. It's just a piece of 1-inch PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took a massive amount of duct tape, I would say probably about 50 or 60 rolls, and he started rolling strips of duct tape around the ends to weight them. So
It was two rolls at most of
Was
duct
it?
tape.
I don't know.
And
Looked like more.
it's probably 1.5 PVC. And but yeah, they're pretty sweet. I took somebody else's juggling clubs that I had been learning to juggle on. This was years ago, and I wanted to make my own. So I took hers, this woman that loaned them to me, and I basically went to Home Depot. I bought this stuff, and I built these things so that the balance matched perfectly. I actually would interchange them so that I would know that they were perfectly aligned, and that way we could pass between each other, and it would still work fine. And so now I've got these juggling clubs, and they're homemade, and they're pretty cool.
And they're silver.
And now they have...
Like they're from the future.
Well, they're white.
should be.
Black and white,
Should have
because I
spray
got
painted them.
white duct tape, baby.
Nice.
All out.
Are you going to set them
Yeah.
on fire as well?
Well, they're plastic, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would.
Well, that would make it even more of a challenge.
In fact, next time I see you, I'll bring you my unicycle. You can take care of it and go the full hog.
I sense a different type of show coming on here, guys. Really. Yeah. I'm starting to feel the direction.
What? Okay.
Juggling
What is the direction?
unicycle.
Mm-hmm. Can you ride a unicycle?
I can fall off
Either
one
of you?
quite effectively.
Right.
I can get about 3 revolutions of the crank quite effectively and then fall off. But any more than
Before
that,
it goes through your chest.
What about you, Josh? Unicycles?
On a good day, I can, probably make it 5 feet.
That's about like me. My dad and my brother are both really good at it, and they can juggle while they ride.
Really?
Really?
I didn't know
yeah.
you were from the carnival.
Oh yeah, man. That's pretty much the only way you could describe my family. That is for sure.
Is your mum a lion tamer?
Carnival.
That or maybe a zoo. Yeah, she's more like an ape person, I think.
Like a bearded lady.
Sure. I refuse to respond to that.
I think you just better apologize right now.
Aldine, that was.
I'm
as much as I have made fun of British people in front of you, I think I'm going to have to take that smiling. But
I don't see how you could take offence at me saying that when you described your mother as an ape lady.
All right. Touche. Touche. Well, look. Okay.
Should we talk gardening? How did your summer
Arduino
crop
gardening?
do, Al?
Very, very badly. We've had so much rain. It's been practically Noah-esque this year. So I think I've got 2 tomatoes and 1 half-assed pumpkin, and that
2 plants or like
no,
2?
2 tomatoes,
Oh, yeah.
and one of those is quite
There's a
small.
salad. Adam's not into gardening. Actually,
Sure I am.
He gets kind of bored talking about
Is that just because I'm being quiet over here? I feel like I've just been talking too much. That's all. Taking up all the airtime.
No, he would. We talked about gardening at Maker Faire, and he just would become depressed and sort of distant looking.
That is not what it was. It's that Josh and JF and Simon and I were out. We like crowd around this table at an Irish themed pub in New York, and we've all got our beers and we're sitting there and we're into like the second drink, and we're still talking about work. And I was like, guys, 3D printers, we are lame. We are sitting here, we're out, and we're talking about 3D printers. Let's change the subject. How about? And Josh was like, okay, how about we talk gardening?
And terrariums.
And terrarium. And I was like, okay.
Moss balls.
Yeah.
What's a terrarium?
Lots of moss ball. Well, there's 2 types, actually. Should we get into that?
I've opened a can of worms, haven't I? A small glass can of worms.
It's like a little garden inside a glass container.
Yeah, it's self-contained ecosystem, so it you put water in and it kind of steams all by itself.
Or dies.
Yeah, or dies, whichever.
Which is most likely.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
So are you really into, would you ever be into the Arduino gardening thing, Aldine?
Well, I'm quite into the gardening, but I can't really say Arduino, so I'll probably skip it. If you can't pronounce what you're interested in, then it's probably best to leave it alone. Like stamp collecting. Yeah, I've never really got into electronics at all. I can barely. I have to Google how you wire up a plug. So tinkering with soldering irons isn't really my bag. I think it would end badly. Very, very badly. Probably in a house fire at the very minimum.
Have you ever been electrocuted?
Oh, more the times than I care to imagine.
All right, Al, you publish Develop3D Magazine, obviously. What? Why do you do that?
You know, sometimes I sit there in my little shed and I look out at the rain pissing off of the roof, and I wonder the same thing myself. But
Have you ever thought about changing from a monthly publication to an annual one?
well, I think if I was going to
Just
go
a
that
massive
far, I'd do it
2-inch thick catalog.
biannually. Do it biannually, every 2 years, work for about a month and a half, and have it like 450 billion pages long. It's like doof, like the yellow
It
pages.
looks like a phone
Yeah.
book. You send a phone book once every 2 years to everybody out there. I don't know. I think that it's just I'm just always interested to hear. You know, people always we get used to making our pitch, right,
Yeah.
to potential sponsors and people like that, and so we have to think a lot about why we're doing what we're doing, and that's part of why we're talking about taking a little break here and just kind of taking a step back and resetting the machine.
Yeah.
Giving it a little think, but you know, I just wonder why other people do what they're doing and where that line is. You know, I've been thinking when we first started this whole thing, we actually literally we wrote down what our mission statement was, and in that mission statement, probably most of the mission statement was that we wanted to do something fun that we liked, and if we weren't having fun, we were going to quit.
Yeah.
And that all sounds cool and everything, and at the same time, it feels maybe kind of childish. Looking back at it, like
I think it's probably more.
you can't spend
grown
your whole life just doing what's fun, right? Or can you?
up. I think you can. I think you have different levels of fun. I think sometimes you get a little bit bored. Like, I'll give you for instance. I did consider taking a job with another company quite recently.
Yeah.
Quite a different company in the technology sphere, as you might imagine.
Right.
Just out of
Quite a big
out of
one.
curiosity. But it comes down to the thing is, are they going to pay me enough to make me do a job that I'm probably not going to enjoy as much as the one I do now. And I do enjoy it. You know, I like getting out, meeting people, writing about. Some of the software is a little bit tedious sometimes, but we get to write cool stories about people making stuff. And we give people that. I mean, I was at a trade show 2 weeks ago, and 3 times I was there for 2 hours. 3 people came up and told me that they love reading the magazine, and they were quite happy to share the fact that they read it while they're taking a shit. Which, on the face of it, seems like a slightly strange thing, as it's my face on page 6.
Well, it's even worse listening to a podcast when you're doing that. So I don't know if anybody out there right now is listening to this on the John. You know,
they should stop.
That's awkward. I'm just going to say it's awkward right now for me.
They should stop
knowing that you're doing that.
Get a quality paper magazine.
How's it going there, by the way?
That's right.
Never ever take the iPad in the toilet. Those are the rules. The 11th commandment.
Oh, one too many.
Yeah, I think so.
Fell right in. Yep.
But yeah, monthly is sometimes hard, but it gives you I quite like that instant gratification. I couldn't imagine anything worse than working on something for 3 years and then see it come out.
I think that's exactly it. That's exactly the thing. I mean, what we're doing, what you do as well, anybody who publishes things, and Josh and I are, when we started this, we were really naive. We had no idea what we were doing. And I think there's a lot of, you're kind of putting yourself out there in a pretty visible way. And so it was kind of like, well, if we don't do this every week, then we're going to have too much time to think about it.
Yeah.
We're going to have plenty of time to get embarrassed and to think too hard every week. And so our thought was, well, if we do this really fast, then by the time we have time to get self-conscious about the first episode, we'll be too busy worrying about the next one.
And the other thing is, if you make a mistake, you've got an instant, we've got another new thing
Fix.
now. So, I mean, I know when the magazine comes through, I know I'm going to get an email from Tanya, or I send her one that just goes, "Oh shit, have you seen page 56?"
Right.
Because there's something horrendous in there.
But the good news is that the next episode, the next issue will have a page 56 too, and we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
So
it'll probably be on page 42, and you've probably misspelt something quite horrendously. But yeah, it's quite nice that site, that quick turnaround every month is nice. In that you get it done, you forget about it, do another one. Good points, bad points. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
Word
to your mother. The ape lady.
Josh is being quiet over there now.
Oh, I'm just thinking about the juggling and unicycling that we're gonna turn the show
in the garden.
In the garden. Yep.
Gardenjuggling.com.
Could be.
As long as it doesn't involve
Next.
a greenhouse, that could be potentially lethal. Or a water bucket.
What's that old saying? Don't juggle clubs if you live in a glass house, something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. Don't let a clown near your veg patch. I think that's the other one. Unless you're burying the fucker in it.
Unless you are the clown, in which case, go on gardening, Aldine. Go on gardening.
Although sometimes those big long shoes are quite useful for treading in your cabbages.
Right.
So, if you guys aren't doing this, Josh obviously has the Solid Smack. Adam has the Cadjunkie. What else are you going to do? You're just going to take a little break, take it easy? I feel like I'm interviewing you two now. That's quite nice.
Yeah, well, should we reveal what's to come? Is there anything?
I don't think we
Not
should
yet.
reveal, because we have lots of stuff. I think the main thing
Too many
was
ideas and
we had
not
too
enough
many
time.
ideas. We had too much stuff going on, and we just felt overwhelmed, and we couldn't really think about. Like we were talking about earlier, you don't have time to think if you're doing a weekly show.
Yep.
So we just decided, well, we have lots of ideas that we really love, and we know that we want to change something, but we don't want to make a decision on the fly because it's just going to be a disaster. So we need to stop the presses, and then retool and rethink about it. And maybe it doesn't change that much.
Yep.
In the end, we just wanted to take a step back, look at it, look at the formula, look at all of it, and see what we can do differently, do better, do worse, whatever.
That's kind of the nice thing, is in that you've got that freedom to do it. I think that's how things
Right.
have changed these days. I know if I talk to my dad about my job, he's kind of just despairs. That's not a real job. You know, I don't know if you get that off of your family, but it's like, really? That's what you do?
Yeah.
That's how I make my living and feed my children, by waffling mostly and killing dead trees. It's good.
Well, I think I think we have several ideas for another podcast or for this podcast. We haven't decided yet. I think we have. We definitely, Solid Smag is going strong. We're just going to keep going with that. We got Cadjunkies going really well. Finally, we had a rocky patch in there, but we're finally getting everything fixed up and excited about that. And I mean, Josh and I both have day jobs too.
Yes, this is true.
I mean, people think that that this is our living, and good golly, we kind of wish it was, but we don't.
So you've done well, boys, I think. Round of applause.
Well,
Definitely. Yeah.
is that our applause
Yeah,
right
I
there?
think it is. It's a one-handed
That was
clap.
it. It's the one we get one-handed clap from Aldine. That's our applause. Thanks, guys. We'll bow out with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Put some sound effects on, some whoop.
dolly back, fade to black.
Next time on EVD, we'll talk with Adam's ape mom and dad.
Okay, well now that we've officially named my mom the ape mom, I'm pretty sure
mean
she's not
you?
going to want to come on the show. Look, I was trying to be self-deprecating and it backfired. Anyway. All right,
It's not
gentlemen.
necessarily a bad thing. I just keep thinking of the hot one in Planet of the Apes. So
Hey, there you go. Maybe
yes.
that's more like what it is.
probably wouldn't want that sharing the sentence "the hot one in Planet of the Apes." But, you know, I'm down with that.
Yeah. We're you know, it's a step in the right direction, Al. I'm pretty sure that one's not going to fly either, but we'll keep working on it, and eventually we'll find one that is not grotesquely offensive to all of womankind.
Yes, or monkey kind. Yes.
All right, gents. I think that's going to have to be it.
A production of EVD Media.